Welcome everybody to the 12 o'clock show with Mayor Joe, and joining me today for your first of hopefully many appearances, Toni Kleckley, the new trustee from Truro Township. How are you?
I'm good.
All right, you look excited to be here, I can tell.
Well, I do.
All right.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Got a lot of different things going on, but before we dive into the whole trustee thing, let's just kind of start with, this isn't your first kind of endeavor within the city. The first thing you did was you're a chaplain for our police department. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit more about what that's like?
What that is like for me, so I have 25 years of background as a board certified chaplain. I started in corporate America, went on to the hospitals, and finished in hospice. And from that experience, I ran into a chaplain who is in Westerville. And he asked me to come over to Westerville to serve. Well, after I thought about it, I said, let me check and see if we have a chaplain department here in my own backyard, here in Reynoldsburg. And we did. So I applied to be a volunteer for the Reynoldsburg Police Department. I've been there ever since, going on five years.
It's about 5 years.
Yeah. So I enjoy it. So I'm used to working with victims of mental health, gunshot victims and their families, funerals. So much that is involved with chaplain care, even with staff. Yeah. So I kind of transitioned those experiences and skills into my chaplaincy with the Reynoldsburg Police Department.
Well, we appreciate it because not everybody, I think, we all see like the initial bad thing that happens, but we don't know all the time what happens after the fact. And so for you and other chaplains that participate, very appreciative. Slightly less intense was your time on the Planning and Zoning Board. You were there, and maybe it was a little intense at times, but you were on the thing basically decides kind of like how the city looks and feels and what goes where and things like that. What was that like?
I tell you, I had a team of people who we were like-minded when it came to sharing ideals and voting ideals through and plans for this city. Just to see that metamorphosis into where it is today was truly a growth spurt for me, but it was truly a blessing to see how our decisions in City Hall are done with the Planning and Zoning Board and how it affects the families in our community. And then just to be able to hear what the plans are in advance, to be able to have some discussions in advance, whether you agree or disagree, you still had that open door policy where people could come in and share their concerns, if there were any. I don't care if it was street, I don't care if it was affordable housing, I don't care if it was putting in an apartment complex for affordable housing, whatever it was, you opened up the door for people to come in and share their concerns or support. So to be at the tipping edge of that, like the Planning and Zoning Board is, we're no longer dealing with the legacy of the past, we're creating new legacy. So I really enjoyed that.
That's a cool way to look at it. So you gave up all of that excitement to be a Truro Township trustee. Now, to be fair, everyone, you've had 2 meetings since then?
2.
Yeah, so 2 meetings. So you've got it all figured out, right?
Right.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts so far as the township and like what would be just having gone through just those 2 meetings? What's your view?
My view as a trustee is, first of all, I'm a people person. You can pretty much tell by my 2 past experiences that you brought up. I just attended the OTA conference, which stands for Ohio Township Association Conference, just 2 weeks ago, February the 4th through the 6th. And it was there that I really realized how heavy of a learning curve this is going to be for me. So like you said, it's only been about 14 days since the training, but I'm up for it. I have an awesome support team to help me through the process, to ask questions and get answers. And Truro is, even though people think that it's small, it really isn't. We have about 35,000 families and residents here in Truro Township. So I look forward to what we do with the fire department and EMS and the streets and the cemetery and all the roads, waste development.
I'll see what you think about month 6 or 7, how that's all working out.
Okay. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited.
Yeah.
So at the OTA, I was able to just learn about newly elected trustees, because there were designated workshops that were designed just for newly elected officials. So it was just to critique that a little bit. We were able to just learn and network about the new trustees throughout the entire state of Ohio. That was really the cherry on top for me, just meeting other newly elected officials and hearing what their goals for their community and what our goals here is for Truro and Reynoldsburg. So moving fast forward, just hearing the things that open up to me as far as budget. We have a large budget, which is new to me, but I'm willing to sit and learn and do what I need to do for the people who voted me in.
That's good. I know you're always going to be readily accessible and things like that. So you mentioned this big conference. Was there any one particular topic that was kind of like the big topic everybody was talking about? I know you know the answer to this question, so.
The inner workings of the township.
Yeah.
The inner workings. And as I was going door to door, just talking to people that wasn't clear on what township they were living in, who are the trustees. So I understand there's an educational piece at some point that really needs to go out to the families here at Truro, so they be familiar with where their money is going. And of course, it's going to the fire department, EMS, roads, and all the other things I mentioned earlier. But they may not know that. Okay. So I look forward to educating our community.
Well, I can't wait till they do their first open house, and I think that there's, maybe a little hazing involved, and they make you go down the fire person's pole and slide down there. I think that would be awesome. No, not. I don't know. I think if they're watching, I think that might be an idea that just to get you through it. Well, I appreciate you coming in. Is there anything that I missed? Anything you want to share? If somebody has a question, they want to get in touch with you. Do you guys do you have an email address and all that fun stuff?
I have a phone number. I would love them to call me personally. Area code 614 924-0007 or 614-575-1919. So please call me. Other than that, you can go on the website, and my email's on the website.
All right. It's always good to have that. I appreciate you giving that number out there and the emails. Townships are a little bit different than the cities, but we have a good working relationship. We do a lot of things with each other, and depending on how things go with all the other crazy stuff that we have to deal with, we'll see what goes on, especially with all the joys of property taxes. So,
all the joys.
All the joys. Any questions? Anything popping in?
Well, you talked a lot about, but the one question we did get was like, what were your 3 biggest goals for 2026? And you highlighted a lot of that. If there's anything before you leave, just something you really would like to focus on.
I think the goal would be maintaining the care that we give so far. Just maintaining that. That would be mine. Just being a good steward of the services that have been handed and gifted to me for our community. That would be the goal.
Perfect.
Sounds good. Well, I know you've got a lot of things you have to do today, so you are more than welcome to go. I mean, between Township Trustee and Chaplain and everything else that you do, we appreciate you taking the time. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right. You are free. You made it. You got through.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Everybody, again, your newest Truro Township Trustee, Toni Kleckley. Again, have the information as far as getting in contact with her. It's always a good thing. If you have any questions, feel free and reach out. In the meantime, we will talk about a lot of different things. A lot of things have happened in the last couple of the last week or so. So let's go ahead and get right in. Last night was the most recent Reynoldsburg City School Board meeting, and if you did not attend, you can watch it online. They did talk about a couple of things, highlighted some of the winter athletic activities as they're starting to kind of get to that postseason thing with that. Talked a little bit about some levy discussion. I think they had a little bit on there yesterday about what that timeline looks like and all sorts of stuff. The next meeting is on the 17th, and I did see some social media chatter. You can talk at the school board meetings even if you don't give the 48 hours notice. It's just that's usually what they have is what's there. But if you go and speak to somebody, you are able to talk. I do believe that they actually asked. They thought somebody was there, and apparently they were mistaken that they actually had to give that 48 hours notice. That's just a best case scenario thing. So always welcome to hear from that. And I know all of the board members are getting their office hours established, and when you can talk with them, send them emails, make phone calls, that type of thing. With that, I did want to bring up, again, I mentioned this last time, we have an event that we are asking for support. One of our officers, Officer Nichols, has been diagnosed with a very poor disease, ALS, and we are doing all that we can in his time of need So on Sunday, March 8th, from 12 to 3 at King East Pizza in Canal Winchester, the Get Behind the Badge organization is getting together, and they're going to try and do some things to support. There's going to be a silent auction, there's going to be a raffle, all sorts of other things coming up for it. So if you can take an opportunity to go for that, pay attention to our social media on that one. We also had the opportunity to submit everything for our state capital budget. So we talked about this with State Representative Meredith Lawson-Rowe a couple weeks ago, and she mentioned that once the time comes to get all of the information out there, that the city can put in for a request for funding for specific projects, and so we have done that. We have identified the splash pad at the old Moyer properties. That's what we're going to go for, and conveniently enough, Senator Reynolds was at our most recent city council meeting last week, and she also brought up the state capital budget. She and I had a few moments to talk, and she's in favor of the splash pad. So we'll talk. Maybe we can figure out a way to get some of the people out there involved and do a little mini letter writing or email campaign to kind of garner up some support from that. But that's going to be a lot of fun. Wagner Road update. I really wish we could work sooner than this, but we all know that this is Ohio weather, so even though it's in the 50s today, who knows what it'll be in a couple of weeks. But right now, in early to mid-March, work is going to start back up on that. They're going to be starting with street lights and traffic signal and the sidewalks. So they have to get a little bit warmer for the concrete to go ahead and in there, but the goal is to get that crew out there in mid-March, and then paving for that first phase, probably sometime in mid-April. So that'll be, if the weather gets a little bit warmer ahead of time, maybe the asphalt factories open up early, but that is the goal for that one. So we're in the final stages of phase 1 for that one. We did have our meeting about Bryce. Is there any questions about Wagner Road so far?
Not yet.
Okay. We did have our preliminary meeting about Bryce Road realignment. That was a very popular post. I think that was... I'm not sure anybody's going to beat 300 and some odd comments on our social media pages for the rest of the year, but you never know. But that was a huge thing. Trying to answer a lot of questions last week, but we did talk about some of the ideas for it. Again, preliminary stuff. We're going to do the realignment of the intersection and then do some improvements from Bryce Road as far as we can go. Because of the way that the funding works and some other sources, we may be able to extend that all the way to the Livingston intersection, which is ultimately our goal. So if we can do that, we'll be there. Stay tuned. We'll probably be coming back to council in the not too distant future with some preliminary designs and things like that. We'll also update our website. You can see some of those things in there as well. But again, if you have any questions about it, feel free and message us or put something in the social media pages that we have. Solicitors, the weather got warm and all the solicitors came out. So let's understand, Reynoldsburg does have a no soliciting policy. If you do not want solicitors at your door, you can come to the city and pick up a little window cling that'll say no soliciting. It's not going to stop anyone, but it'll make you feel better that you have it. If somebody does come to your door, to be honest, the first thing you should ask for is, do they have an issued permit for the city? They will say, of course I do. It's in my manager's car. No, if they actually had a permit, it's going to be something that they will have in hand. It'll look just like an ID badge, but it'll be purple and it'll be issued from the city of Reynoldsburg. That way you know that they've actually registered with the city. You can only imagine how many times people are really excited when they knock on my door and I ask them questions about it, and then they say, oh yeah, the mayor has no problem with this. And I'm like, oh really? He doesn't, does he? And then I hand them my card and they have that look on their face that everybody just loves. Again, have no problem if they want to go out and solicit it, but if they have a sign that says no soliciting, they shouldn't be going there, and they should always be registered so that way you know that it is legitimate all the way across. Other cool things going on, Moderately Temperature Fest or Frost Fest is going on this Friday at the Senior Center from 6 to 9. It's Frost Fest, and I know I give a little fun with it because they canceled because apparently Frost Fest was too cold the other week. But that's going to go on this Friday. It's going to be at the Senior Center with all sorts of things like iceless ice skating, hot cocoa bars, some crafts, and all sorts of things. Do have a little bit of an update on the pickleball court. That construction is going to be set for this spring, so again, when the weather kind of warms up a little bit. And that leads us into the big news of the day. Perhaps you saw it on social media. One of the last pieces of open space in the city of Reynoldsburg, the farmland on Taylor Road, just after you pass on to Main Street from Taylor Road, has been secured. It's in contract, and the process for annexation is going to begin. Basically, it's already started. First thing that'll happen is on Monday, There will be a request from the developer or from the property owner to identify what utilities are available for the site. The very normal function. We get to tell them, yes, there's electricity, sewer, water, things of that nature. Then it will go back to the county within 30 days, and then 60 days after it's submitted, it will come back to council for formal annexation. And that's where things get a little bit different. So first of all, let's understand this is a private property deal between the owners of the property and the developer. Whatever deal that they've come up with as far as how much per acre and all of that is really going to determine what they're asking the city to allow to be put on that property. We have been in contact with the developer. They have given us a general idea that what they would like to put there falls into what we call our innovation zoning district. Innovation is job creating, research and development, scientific data, things of that sense. No data centers are going there, so if you're thinking it's going to be a data center, there will not be a data center. I have my own wishes and dreams about what could go there, but the reality is whatever goes there will be kind of specific to a job creating entity, something where people actually have to go, they sit down at a desk, they work in a processing area, something along those lines. Will there be some distribution part to it? It seems that there probably would be, but we're not exactly sure what's going to go there. They haven't really gotten to that point for us yet. Other questions that come up specifically is when they do let us know that, we will obviously share that when they submit a site plan. I would assume that the earliest we will see any kind of site plan about what goes on that property is probably going to be around the same time as annexation or shortly thereafter. So we're talking May, June. So if you're asking what's going there, we don't know yet. The other part of it is abatements and TIFs. So the city of Reynoldsburg has kind of a couple of different, I don't want to call them policies, but kind of directions that when people come in and they say, hey, we want to do this. So a TIF is a little bit different. A TIF is tax increment financing. This is where the city takes a portion of the property taxes that are going to the city over the course of a certain amount of lifetime, and then we get that within a relatively short period of time. That's probably not going to happen on this property because there's not a lot of public infrastructure. TIFs require public infrastructure dollars to come in. So in this case, the developer is going to have to do their infrastructure piece on their own because it's not going to be necessarily for public consumption. It's not residential, so there's no major roadways that the city will take care of and things like that. Abatements are a different question altogether. This is going to be in the Reynoldsburg City School District, so if there is an abatement that's going to be requested in the future, we'll have to get approved for them if they're going for the full 15 years, 100%. We have economic thresholds that we use as a guideline that we tell developers that if you're going to ask for the full abatement on everything, then you're going to have a dollar amount, a yearly salary of a certain range, usually close to $100,000 a year or more. So that kind of incentivizes businesses that are looking for research and develop more scientific based and things of that nature. If it's logistics and things like that, probably not going to get an abatement in that regard. It's going to be a lot less than that, just because it's not that it's not important, it's not that they're not good jobs, but we understand what the impact it can be on the school district. Now, the bright side to this is not a lot of property taxes go to the school district for this particular piece. So pretty much anything that is done there will actually be a benefit financially without the burden of students. I know one question is, well, why isn't there housing there? Because it's right next to housing and there's housing over here. And I completely understand what you're saying. Part of that is based on the price point of the property itself. And the other part of it is, to be honest, Reynoldsburg City Schools is relatively full of students. They don't have the facilities right now to go ahead and move forward with additional housing in that kind of a measure. Housing of certain complexes is one thing. 130 acres of housing is a completely different thing. So that's why it's more geared towards the innovation aspect of it. This is going to be a huge project when it's all said and done. It's actually very exciting from the city from a financial standpoint, just because of the fact that it will allow us to continue to improve our roads and infrastructure, as well as provide what I'm hoping for, which is career-based jobs in our community. We are going to be working with the residents in the area to make sure that everything is taken care of. We're going to do kind of like the rule of thumb is if you've driven on Taylor Road and you've head towards Broad Street and you see the Bath and Body Works and Victoria's Secret facilities on the side, during the summertime, if you're not looking for it, you probably won't see it. So mounding of dirt, trees being planted, things like that for screenage for the residential areas and things like that is what we require. It's a little bit different than some other communities, but we've kind of learned some lessons from what some of our neighbors have done, and we want to make sure that we take that into effect here. Maybe I'll have more information at my State of the City next week, but we'll see. I know this will generate a lot of questions and a lot of commentary, and I'm happy to answer them for you. But ultimately, as it is a private development deal between the property owner and this developer, we're trying to make the best of a good situation and maximize our benefit to the community. So with that, I will move on. Any questions?
We do have a question.
I figured you would have one.
Not about what you were just talking about, but the question is, if citizens wish to see Department of Homeland Security being prevented from purchasing warehouse, retail space from being converted into detention space, would that be addressed by zoning or by council?
It's going to be a question of both. Actually, the city attorney and I just had that conversation. I know this might come as a shock to you, but our zoning doesn't allow for detention centers. I can't imagine what zoning. I can imagine going and saying, so I've got this thing on my zoning board and it says I can do a detention center. I'm like, I don't see how that's a thing, but obviously it is. No, that is not something that the city would be in support of. There's so many reasons that would just not happen in the city of Reynoldsburg. They would not be welcome to do something like that. Former history teacher, I could go on for an hour and a half about how wrong that is, but that's not going to happen. So, any other questions?
All right.
That was a great question. Yeah. I like that one. I'll have to look at who asked that a little bit later. So, other things coming up. I do want to get it out there. It may only be September, or February 18th right now. So we got February 18th. We've got the Lions Club has their Easter egg hunt. I did see them advertising for that on March 28th. That is a 12 noon start time. It'll last until 12:02 because everybody picks up those eggs pretty darn quick. So shout out to the Lions Club for doing that. We do have a couple of community events coming up. First one we want to talk about is our Black History Month Town Hall, and that's on Tuesday night next week right here at City Hall. It's going to be a 6 p.m. start time-ish, give or take. But come on into City Hall. State Representative Meredith Lawson-Rowe will be talking about some of the things that she mentioned when she was on the show just a few weeks ago. So the Black Panther Tank Brigade and things of that nature, and their contributions to Black History Month. So hopefully you can come out and hear about that. We of course have on the 28th, or on February 28th is actually our Messiah Lutheran Church spaghetti dinner sponsored by the Community Association. So you can go ahead and check that out and come and have some fun. It's good spaghetti. You got some of the rolls from Texas Roadhouse. You'll start seeing some signs being posted up over the next couple of days in the area to come and be there. But this is a great fundraiser for the Community Association, our great partner in the 4th of July Parade, the Hollow Weekends in the Burg, and of course Christmas on the Town. So we look forward to having that. It's going to be a lot of fun as we kind of work with them on those things. Next, we have our Community Cleanup Day on April 25th. It is going to be here. There is no hazardous materials on this one, but I did see somebody ask, can we drop off paint? Yes, usually with paint, you have to have it kind of like aired out and dried out, and then they can go ahead and take the paint. But we'll have all the usual things there. We'll collect some old bikes. We'll have medicine drop off. We'll do electronics. We'll do paper shredding, all of those things. Hopefully this time the paper shredding truck doesn't catch on fire. But if it does, hey, we know what to do with this time. So that's one of those cool things that'll happen. So we've got that going on. Any other questions?
Yes.
Go for it.
When can we have an amphitheater for the Reynoldsburg Community Band?
That would be an awesome thing to have, and conveniently enough, I think you might want to check out our State of the City next week. I really hope that this is something that, it sounds like perfect that they set this question up. The amphitheater is actually set to do in Civic Park, but if you want to learn more about it, check out the State of the City when we talk a little bit about that timeline. But that is a good thing to have. That is something that we have in our plans.
Next question. How long until all of the city street signs are updated to the new ones? Currently, there are 3 versions out there when you drive around the city.
Oh my goodness, that is a great one. I know that Keith from our street department, who's been on the show a couple of times, he is actually in progress of getting that together. As soon as the weather warms up, because obviously they've been dealing with snow, as soon as it warms up a little bit and they get that together outside of some of the potholes, they are going to be replacing all the signs. We're going to get them all done this year. I would assume that there's a pattern that they'll kind of start on the exteriors and then work their way into the neighborhoods. But yes, that is the goal, to have that all taken care of by the end of this year. I'll have to mention that to Keith, that people are asking about it.
That's it for right now.
All right, so those are the things that are going on. Obviously, the State of the City is next Thursday. Doors will open at 6:30. Have about a half an hour. All of our departments will be present there. You're going to be able to talk to Human Resources and see what kind of job opportunities might be available here in Reynoldsburg. The Department of Development, where you'll see what's going on, get updates about the Alliance and other facilities. service department, where we're going to be talking a little bit about water meters and how that works. We have communication and events, where we'll talk about our texting program, which is really cool. We had a great meeting about that this morning, where apparently there's going to be a person called a super administrator that will be able to go out and do all sorts of things. It's going to be a lot of fun. I've been told that I'm not allowed to have access to this because I might abuse it, and I said, I'm the mayor, I'm probably going to do it anyway. So it'll be a lot of fun for the testing phase of that one. We also have, who else am I? Parks and Rec obviously will be there, and they'll be talking about some of their events and things of that nature as well. So it'll be a good thing. I'll get started about 7 o'clock. We're going to talk about all sorts of things. We're going to talk about all the things that happened in 2025 and the things to come in 2026, including some of the things that we mentioned earlier today, plus a few others. But it's going to be a lot of fun. So I hope you can join us. Any last second questions before I talk about next week?
No.
All right, as we kind of wrap up Black History Month next week, we were going to be welcoming the president and CEO of Tewando Social Services. It's Ethiopian Tewando Social Services. Dr. Seleshi is resident in Reynoldsburg, who is actually, this entire organization is dedicated that when immigrants do come to the United States, this organization actually helps set them up. If you remember, one of his staff, Tatiana Bodashevsky, was actually on our show last year. So he's going to come on this year and talk a little bit about that process and how it's changed over, say, the last year or so and what's going on with that. But this organization brought in Afghan refugees and refugees from all over the world into the United States and helped find them and hook them up with the services that they need to begin their life here in America. So I'm really looking forward to having that conversation, and it's really cool that he's actually a Reynoldsburg resident. He just lives down the road from me. So hope you can join us next Wednesday. I hope you can join us on Tuesday for the town hall, and of course Thursday for the State of the City. It's going to be a fun one, I guarantee it. Hope you can join us. As for everybody else, stay safe, stay respectful, and as always, please put your shopping carts away. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you next week.